Hey everyone, welcome back to another tutorial. This is going to be a very important tutorial in the basics of setting up your entire color palette and how you need to use these colors so that the entire design team can use the colors efficiently and at the same time make less mistakes, help in improving consistency and maintaining that consistency, and also set colors. What are the various things you can do depending on the size of your company, depending on how established your design system is, and basically if you're even working on a personal project, how you want to set it up. So let's get started. Now the first thing here is to pick your primary color. Now in this case, I've just gone ahead and picked this random green color, which is going to be our primary color. Now green is a primary color and it also has a certain level of brightness and saturation and all these values combined. Now basically you want to start off with a color which you're going to be using for your buttons, your text links and things like that. So pretty much your primary CTA or a button is going to be your primary color. So once you have this, we can go ahead and create multiple shades from this color. Now there are multiple ways of creating these shades, and depending on the level of complexity and depending on your needs, you can choose whichever method, but I'm going to show you a very simple and a straightforward method to do it. Now, before we do that, let's take a look at a couple of other platforms or products out there which also have shades, and it's sort of documented in their design documentation, and you can understand how they use these different shades of colors. Now let's take a look at Atlassian's design system. And this is an public documentation, so you can read everything about it. Now, the first thing you want to understand here is that they have multiple shades of color. They have their primary palette, and then they have the secondary palette with a bunch of other colors. And the important thing here to note is that each of these colors, and in case these are our neutral colors, there are multiple shades of the same color. Now we have seen multiple times in design kits and design systems that we have around 10 different shades. Now it's okay if you have 10 different shades. It's good to have 10 different shades, but assigning a particular function to each color is really important. I'm going to explain what that means. But before we go there, let's just quickly look at the entire documentation, right? So we've got a lot of neutral colors, and each of these have their own use case, and they haven't mentioned it over here, but ideally you want to mention it, and that's pretty much called as design tokens, which we will look at in a different video. But just understand that every color has its own function, and a particular color cannot be used for two different types of purposes, with a few exceptions. But again, I'm going to show you and explain what all of that means, right? So as you can see, they've got quite a few colors over here, and is Atlassian using all these colors? Maybe not. I'm not really sure because obviously I haven't worked there. But if you come down here to the other section, they have multiple shades. Here, they just have 7 colors, and I'm guessing that they use all these 7 colors somewhere else, but they use it in a very consistent format. And how do they use it consistently? It's by using something called as design tokens, which again, I will explain in another video. You've got yellow as well, green, and a lot of these things. At the same time, you also got these contrast ratios, right? You've got these accessibility values, and I'm going to explain how that works as well. But just keep that in mind. We're also going to go to Shopify and look at their colors as well. So as you can see, basically, as I mentioned before, they have multiple shades, and each shade of a color performs a different action. You cannot use one shade for multiple purposes. Again, there is an exception which I will cover a little bit later on in the video. But the basic bottom line is make sure that one color is used for a single purpose. You've got multiple surfaces over here, so each shade is used for a different purpose. Same here, over here, text subdued, and then border as well, and then over here. Now here again, this is one of the exceptions that I'm talking about, is where you have a particular color which is being used for two different purposes. But how do you ensure that the developers are doing it correctly? That again comes down to design tokens, which I will explain later on, but this is the exception that I'm talking about. Anyway, so this is the whole point, right? Now we know that we need multiple shades of colors. We know that we don't really have to use all the shades. We can just use 4 or 5 of them, maybe even 3 of them if that works. And as you can see, they've just used 3 over here. They've used 3 over here. So typically you may not even need multiple shades of colors. So now I'm going to show you how do you go ahead and create these colors. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select our primary color. Now, primary color and the primary shade is basically what you're going to be using for your buttons, your text links, and things like that. So this is the color green and also has a certain level of saturation and brightness and contrast and all these values. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this color and go here to the browser, and there are a lot of these tonal palette generators that you can find online. This is one thing that I like, so I'm going to use this as well. So how do we use this? It's very simple and straightforward. The first thing I'm going to do is obviously change the color of this. So I'm just going to paste that color code. Let me try again. Okay, there we go. So now we have this particular color over here. Okay. Now, so if you scroll down, you see we have tints, and 10 is sort of like a recommended number to have. And then we have shades, okay? So tints basically make it lighter, shades make it darker, and then you have these, you can also find which colors are complementary. So you've got this color which complements this color, you've got analogous, split complementary, you've got a lot of these things, but you know, we're not going to need it for this case. Also it shows images and a lot of other information, but we don't need that. Now, the thing here to understand is this is our primary color, right? Which means there are going to be a few colors which are going to be more brighter than we see over here. And then we have a few colors which are going to be darker in nature. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is the lightest color and 10 is the darkest color, where does our color actually fit in? Where does it sit? Now, if I go to the material guidelines website, you can see what's happening over here. You've got these numbers, which is 50, 100, 200, 300, goes all up to 900. And these are basically, if you see over here, they are tonal numbers. So each shade has a particular number assigned to it. Okay. And as you can see over here, this one, P, was basically primary and S is secondary. This is the primary color. Now, in this scenario, 500, so whatever this shade is, which falls under the 500 category, is the primary color. Now, the primary color could also have been 700. The primary color could also have been 100, or the primary color could even have been 900. But it's your choice as a designer to understand where you want to put the primary color. The primary color that you have, and the one we have in this case, which tonal number or tonal value does it represent? Now, that's a choice that we have to make. Now, ideally, in most case scenarios, 700 to 500 is something that works for colors like green and blue because they're dark. But I'm going to show you an example where it is completely opposite. So if I go to Airbnb, right? So if I go to airbnb.com and we have this color. Now this color is pretty much quite saturated and dark. And if I go to dribble.com, this is less saturated. Now if you're really confused about which number it should fall under, there's a simple trick that you can do. You can go to the color system. You can come all the way to the bottom where you will find a color palette generator. Let me quickly see where that is. Tools for picking colors. Yeah, there we go. So what you can do is you can paste in your color code over here, and then that will sort of identify which is the appropriate tonal value over here. Now this may not be correct. This may not be what we want, because maybe we want more darker shades in the entire app or website that we're building. So if you don't want a lot of darker shades, you can come over here and make this 700 or probably even 800. And I'm going to add a secondary color. In this case, we're just going to pick this Airbnb color. So I'm going to be using this tool that I have. I'm going to copy that and then come back over here. And then I'm going to paste this. Okay. And as you can see, this is a 400. Okay. So which means that this is more on the lighter side. And if we want, we can try dribble as well. So I'm going to go to dribble and I'm going to pick the primary color over here. I'm going to copy that, come back over here and change this. So now you can see that dribble is also 400. Airbnb is also 400. Right now, there's no right or wrong. It just depends on how many darker colors you want and how many lighter colors you want. Okay. Now, in my case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably make this color as 600. Okay. And then I want to have a good number of darker shades, which I will pick from here, and a good amount of lighter shades. And I'm going to pull that from here. Okay. So first things first, let's go back to Figma and we have this color and I've called it G700. I'm actually going to make that G 600 for the purpose of this video. And I'm going to go ahead and just create a small component, and so that we can probably use it as our color swatch. I'm going to press T on my keyboard, and then I'm going to paste in the hex value of this. So I'm going to copy this and then just paste the hex value over here. There we go. I am going to press Shift A to auto layout this. If you have not seen my auto layout tutorial, which is going to make you an auto layout pro, highly recommend you check that out. Link will be in the description. Probably going to reduce this to 8, and then this also to 8. There we go. And then I'm going to set the fill to be white, and I'm going to give this a black color. There we go. Okay. I'm going to obviously round off all of this by giving it a rounding of 8. There we go. Now I also want to go ahead and add the color name. So basically the tonal value. So I'm going to copy this and then I'll come over here and paste it over here. And this is going to be G600. Okay, I'm just going to call this G600. Now we're going to look at accessibility a little bit later and color ratios and all these things a little bit later. But for now, I'm just going to call this G600. Maybe make this white. There we go. And I think maybe 8 is too much. I'm going to probably reduce that down to 4. And then we have this. So now with this selected, I can just quickly create this into a component and I can call this swatch. All right. I'm going to move this over to the side. This is going to be like our master component, and then we have like our minor components, and then we're going to go ahead and create a couple of duplicates. So I'm going to create, so this is 600. So this is going to be 500, 400, 300, 200, 100, and then we have a 50. And then on this side, this is going to be 700, 800, and 900. Now I'm going to cut the video and I'm just going to rename all of this so we have the right tonal value numbers, and then we're going to resume the video. Okay, so I've gone ahead and rename these. So this is going to be 900, 800, 700, 600, 500, 400, 300, 200, 100, and 50. Okay, and remember, this is our primary color. So I'm just going to pop that outside so that we don't forget it. Now, all you have to do is we want 3 shades which are darker than 600. So I'm going to come back over here. And I'm going to come over here, and so this is our 600. This is going to be 700. So I can click on this to copy the hex code, and then we'll come over here. This is going to be 700. Okay. And then we have this. I'm going to go ahead, select this, and I'm going to make this 800. And then I'm going to select another one, which is even darker, and then click on that and make that 900. All right. So as you can see over here, that even though we follow this, there's not a lot of difference in the colors that you can visually see here, right? So what we can do here is we can reduce this to even less. So maybe just make this like 5 or 4 colors. Okay, and then just make it 5. And when we reduce it to 5, we can see there's a more difference in the shades and more difference in the colors. Now this totally depends on how you need your app to be. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to copy this color. This is going to be 700. I'm going to paste that in. This is going to be 800. I'm going to paste this over here. And then I'm going to copy this, make this 900. And then I'm going to paste this over here, right? So now you can see a much more stronger visual difference in color over here. Now we can move forward and make the colors, pick the rest of the lighter colors over here. So I'm going to go to the top area. And again, you want to look over here and see how light do you want them to be? How much of a difference do you need? Now we need quite a few colors over here. We need around 6 colors. So maybe 10 is too much. I'm just going to probably drop this down to 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe drop this down to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, I think this works. So I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to paste it over here. And like I said, there's no right way or wrong way to do this. It's just about what works for you. Copy this, paste this over here, copy this, paste it over here. So we got 4, and then I'm taking a 5, and then 6. There we go. Right. So we've got a bunch of greens here as well. Now, if you feel these are too bright, you can obviously go ahead and increase these numbers, and you can pick something that's a little more subtle. So maybe I'm going to change it to 10 and then just go ahead and change these colors again because I feel that some of these are too bright. So I don't want them to be that bright. So I'm just going to change all of this. This is going to be 100. Oops, it's going to be 100, and then this is going to be like a 50. So as you can see over here, it sort of depends on what you want your lightest color to be, and then what you want your darkest color to be. Okay, so there we go. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and quickly change these hex codes, and then I'm going to be back in a second. So I've gone ahead and changed the hex code of all of this. So the next thing we want to do is to understand and look at the contrast ratios that we have. Now the contrast ratio is pretty much going to be based on the type of component that you're using. Now let's say you have a button, right? So I'm just going to go create a button. I'm going to call this text, or I'm just going to call this button CTA, and then I'm going to create a button, maybe give it a lot of rounding, and then give this a color, right? So, and then obviously center align this. I'm just created a very quick button. Now the button over here has a green color background and a white color text. Now from an accessibility standard, you want to know if this white color passes the contrast ratio with the green color. Now there are tons and tons and tons of plugins and tools that are there all over, but I'm going to be using this one tool called Pika, which is there only for the Mac. Doesn't matter. You could just go online and find other color contrast ratios, and I'm going to see that over here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this color and paste it over here. And then I'm going to select this color and then pick the white color, of course. And as you can see, it has a contrast ratio of 5.48, which is very good because it passes the AA large and AA large. Now, if you don't know what this is, I'm going to link another video in the description or in the card somewhere, and you can check more about that. Or there's a lot of documentation online. You can read that as well. So now this passes the contrast ratio, so which is why we're going to make this as a white color. But let's check out other colors, right? So if I come over here, it comes to 3.46, which passes AA large. And what is AA large? So if you hover on it, let's see if we hover on it. Yeah, there we go. It says a contrast ratio of at least 3.3:1 for large, which is 18 pixel and above, okay? Or bold, which is 14 pixels, right? So this is what Atlassian had done when they were mentioning the colors, okay? So for example, let's take their primary blue color, you can see that the white colors pass AA, and it also passes AAA. Let's find a color where we can see some difference over here. Okay, so if you see over here, this red color, the white colors are actually failing, but only one of them. So the AA is failing, but the AAA is passing. And here again, in the blacks also, they are quite failing. Now, you don't have to really go this deep into figure out what fails and what passes. All you have to do is just know what passes, and that should be good enough. Now, if you want to come back to Figma and you want to do this for all the colors, it is going to take a considerable amount of time. So what I'm going to quickly do now here is I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to move it to the top right. So this is going to be around 8.8, and then this is also going to be around 8.8. And I'm just going to enter if it passes AA or if it passes AAA. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to assume that it is passing both AA and AAA, and since I made a component, it's gone ahead and updated everything over here. And I'm going to go to this website. I'm going to leave a link to it down below in the description. And now this is quite a bit of a crazy website, if you see over here, but it's really simple, and I'm going to show you how this basically works. Now, we have rows and we have columns, and then we have some information over here, which is AAA pass, AA pass, and then AA18 pass, which is only for long text. We can sort of ignore this. We don't need this. And then DNPs basically does not pass. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and edit these numbers. Okay, so we want white and we want a black color. Now I'm actually going to use distinct rows and columns. Okay, so now we can choose what comes on the rows, and then we can see what comes on the column. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and remove all of this. Okay, and I'm going to choose a black color. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is the reason I'm choosing black here is because in this ETA, should we have a black color or a white color? right? Now I'm just choosing black color here, but your primary text color can be a different shade. It can be some sort of like a dark bluish shade or whatever it is, right? So whatever your primary text color is, you want to pick that. In this case, I'm just going to assume that it's black. Okay. So I've chosen black over here. Now we also have a bunch of these other colors over here. So basically all these other colors are these green colors. So I'm going to copy each of this and I'm going to paste it over here. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to come back immediately after that's done. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added all the colors that are in our color palette and I'm going to put them all over here. Now you can actually see what is working and what is not working. Now you can also go ahead and make filters. So you can only choose to show ones that you want. So I'm just going to choose the ones that pass the contrast ratios. All right, over here. So in this case, if you're using white, the only thing that passes here is for these 4 colors. Okay, so white passes contrast ratio for only these 4 colors. Now there are a bunch of these other colors for which black passes. So we've got A, AAA, 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 and AAA, which is really good. Now the thing to understand here is that AA needs a contrast ratio of 4.5:1 and AAA needs a 7+, right? So if this particular color passes with white color with the 14.4, it's very obvious is that it passes AA as well, because 14.4 is obviously greater than 4.5. So what that means is I can say AA, and for this also it's going to be the same, but only for the last one, it only passes AA and not AAA, right? So I'm going to come over here and then just make this AA. And of course, let's make all of this right aligned so that it works. There we go, AA. And that's perfect. Now coming back to these, obviously we need to make these all black color. So I'm going to select all of these elements. All right. And these are going to be black in color. Okay. And then again, this is just going to be AA and the rest are going to be AAA. So I'm going to make this AA and then the rest are all AA and AAA. So now when you're using components, if this green color is going to be like your background color, you will know what should be the appropriate. Now, when we look at these colors, we might use these as different surfaces, but at the same time, we may also be using a different foreground color. Now, let me give you an example. Now, let's look at this toast message, for example. Now, this has some sort of a surface color, as you see over here, but it also has a respective red color or a green color, whatever the accent color is, and it's not a black color. So now the question will arise. If, for example, this color is going to be my background element, what is going to be the appropriate red color which will pass the contrast ratio, right? So in this case, let's say that we had used, let's say, this color as the toast message background color that you see over here. What is the appropriate color to use on the foreground, right? So now I'm going to show you how to do that. It's really simple. So I'm going to just push this up so we can also understand that, let's say this is the background color of our toast message and we want a green color, but which of these green color acts as a good foreground color? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to copy all of these colors and I'm going to paste all of these colors over here. And now we wanted 300, right? So let's look at G300. So G300 is basically this one, which is this one, right over here. So if you look at this, okay, we can see that there are 3 colors that are passing the contrast ratios. So we've got this, and then we've got this, and then we have got this color. So what you can do as an additional step is you can actually come over here and you can also make another copy over here and you can sort of decide which color you want to be as the foreground color. Now, in this case, I'm just going to choose this, which is I'm just going to copy 036046 and I'm going to go ahead and paste that color here and then paste that color here as well. And this obviously passes only a AA. So I'm just going to leave that as it is. Right? There we go. Now, if you feel this is not good enough and you want a darker color, you can do that as well. I'm going to copy that and then I'm going to paste that color over here and then paste this color over here. So now that these look very close to black, but they're not black. Actually, I'm just going to choose this one. I'm going to copy this. and then paste it over here. So if we are ever using this color as our background and you want to use a green color on top of it, you should pretty much use this color. Now, let's say you want to go up further down and you want to use this color instead. Okay, so this is going to be a G100 and G100 is this color. Okay, you can see that the same colors apply here as well. The same 3 colors. So I'm going to copy this color and then paste it over here as well. And this is just going to be AA. So you can also list out what are all the other various colors that can be used as a foreground element, such as text, over this background element, which is this very, very light green. Okay, so now that you've gone ahead and created all of this, you want to repeat the same thing for all the other colors as well. So you've got your secondary color, accent colors, anything else, you want to go ahead and create them. Now, again, I'm going to remind this again, you may not need to use all these colors. You may probably end up using just 3 or 4 colors over here, right? And now the question is, why do we want these multiple colors, right? And I'm going to give you an example. Now, let's say we have this button, right? Now this button is using this color, but sometimes when you tap on it, or if this is on the website, you want to have a hover state, right? So if you want to create a hover state, you want to probably have a brighter or a lighter color, a brighter or a darker color. In this case, let's choose a darker color. And I'm going to actually choose this color as the hover state. So now when you see over here, and if I can put all of this inside a very black color, you can see the difference. All right, that this is a hover state. Now, if you feel that this is not good enough, you can go for the 800 version, and this is going to be the hover state. So basically, this color is going to be used only for the regular background color. This is going to be used as a hover state. Now, why do we have these lighter colors? These can be used for multiple surfaces. These can be used for banners. These can be used for the focused state of an input field. There are so many use cases. Some of these can even be used as dividers. So there are a lot of use cases for each of the color. And as a designer, you have to define what can this color be used for. So you can say this color can be used only for the hover state of a primary button and nothing else, right? Or this color can be used for 2 different purposes. For example, this white can be used as a background color, which is background color of your entire app, or it can be used as a button CTA. Now, how do you create these distinctions? That comes into design tokens, which we will cover in a different video. But it's important to understand that each color needs to be used for a specific set of use cases. So let's go ahead and create a neutral color palette. So I'm going to come down over here, actually I'm going to make a copy of this. Okay, this is going to be N900, and then I'm going to make this this is going to be complete black. All right, this is going to be like 0000, and then obviously we're going to be using only white neutral colors over here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a duplicate of this. This is going to be an 800. So basically what's happening here is if I go ahead and set this to be black, if I go ahead and set this to be black, there we go. You can get a bunch of shades over here. So obviously nothing is darker than black, so it doesn't make sense. So here you can decide how many you want. So we just want like around 9 of them. If you want a white here as well. So then these are just going to end up being your neutral colors over here. You can go to the material design system as well and then pick that as well. You're going to get a bunch of neutral colors as well. So that's how you pretty much create your neutral colors. Now, there is one last thing that I would like to show you guys. Now, if you're too lazy and you want a good set of colors already created, you can actually go to 2 places. One is the material guidelines, where you can have a list of all the colors that are predefined over here. All right. Or you can go to tailwindcss.com, and here you can go to the document section. We can come down and search for colors. We can search for text color, and you have a bunch of colors that are already predefined by Tailwind CSS. Now, what is Tailwind? I'm going to make a whole new video on that, which is going to be like the basics of Tailwind CSS for designers. It's going to teach you a lot. It's going to help you a lot in understanding how developers code using properties. Now, there's no official Tailwind Figma file, but there are a lot of ones that are there on Figma community, which basically give the same color components. So you can pick any one of these as well. Just make sure that you find the latest one. This was updated 2 years ago, so it's pretty much not the latest. Let's try probably, I don't know. Let's try this one. Oh, this was the one that we just saw. All right. This was updated 1 month ago. So probably this is the latest set of colors and the text sizes and everything. So you can probably pick your colors from here. So just pick the colors that you need from here. Maybe we can go to the style guide and we can look at these colors. So I think these are also not updated because there are quite a few colors that are there. These are not the only colors. So if you want like a red color, you can just pick this set of colors. If you want this, you can pick this. If you want green, you can pick this as well. So multiple ways of creating a color palette, and you can choose one that suits your needs. All right, so now once you set up your colors, you can go ahead and create color styles from them. And I'm going to show you a really quick way and a cool way of doing that. The slowest way is to select it, click on this button, and then you add to a color style, and then you name it, and that's how it's done. But I'm going to show you a really, really fast way. But for that, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that every element that has the color, all right, which is in this case, this rectangle, has the actual style name that you want. In this case, it's like G800, this is G900, this is G700. So then what you want to do is you want to just select each of the layers. All right. You want to select all of them one by one. And then you want to go to your plugins and you want to search for a plugin called Chroma Colors. You click on that and then you say run. Okay. And once you do that, it automatically goes ahead and creates all these color styles for you. The best way to organize is to have the 9 in descending order. So you have 900, 800, 700, 600, 500, 400, 300, 200, 150. Now the problem is, let's say I select this element and then I want to apply a color. You see, we have all of this, which is like really hard, and obviously you want all your colors in your design system over here, but then it becomes really hard to choose. So what you can do is if you select one of them and then you just say green and then you add a slash icon, all right, what that does, it then creates a level of hierarchy where it becomes like a drop down, and then you can select the rest of the colors and then you can just throw that in. So now once you select an element, if you come over here, you can see that under green, you have all of these colors. Okay. Now there's another thing that you can do, because every time you're selecting a color, you don't want to spend too much time figuring out what it is. So let's say you're creating this button and you want to come over here and you want to find, it's going to take you time to figure out which one is the right one. Maybe it's a new designer, so the new designer might not even know anything. If you're an old designer, it's just going to take up so much time. So one thing that you can do is you can use something called design tokens and then create extra palettes. I'm going to cover that in the design tokens video, so you can definitely check that out. But to give you a really quick example, now since this button background is our G600, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and apply this color, and then I'm also going to go and click on this plus icon, and then I'm going to create a separate style for the same color. So this is going to be, I'm going to call this surface, and then I'm going to call this primary. All right. So now what happens is that if I come over here, you can see that, let's say I want to apply the color to this button. You can see that I have the surface color, which is this. Now I can go one step further, and over here I can say G600. All right. So now what happens is if I want to apply this color, I can come over here, and if I hover on this, you can see that this is the primary color. It is G600, which is also the exact same as this color as well, right? So we're just making two copies. The only reason is that it is for us to quickly go ahead and apply the colors, right? Now, if I want this button CTA to be white, I'm going to create that as well. So I'm going to create a new one, and then I'm going to call this text. All right. And then I'm going to call this white or text inverted or whatever it is, right? So when I do that, I can come over here, and you can order this in any way you want. All right. And for the text, I'm going to choose text white over here. So basically it becomes really, really, really easy to create it. Now, let's say we have a different text, a different style of a button. And in this case, we need a black color over here. So I can select this, create another one. And then this is going to be text / black, or I'm going to call this text inverted. Okay, so now when you click on this and I click on this, this is going to be text inverted, and I have the white ones as well. Of course, we did not create the color styles for the neutral colors, so you have to separately go create that as well. But then you basically create duplicates so that your surfaces, your texts, your borders and dividers, all of that is under one area so that it's really just fast to pick the colors. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comment sections down below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing, awesome content. And I'll see you guys in my next video. So till then, take care and bye-bye.